Convotime. I feel like Jackie Chan. I need to do that all the time.
I genuinely, you're actually feeling it.
This is the show where we talk about everything and anything that has to do with young adults. Ladies, what is our role as women, as females? I feel like there's this expectation that women have to be a certain way. Like there's this norm that society says a woman, for example, has to be in the kitchen. I don't know how I feel about that.
I know how I feel about it. I know we started. I totally disagree with that. I mean, like, why? If somebody can give me a good, like, logical, legitimate reason why, I'll be like, okay, maybe. But over the years, people talk, but I've not heard one legitimate good reason.
I think everybody's good reason is it's tradition.
It's become a norm, like a woman's place is in the kitchen, while it's the man that works and provides for the family.
Well, that norm is changing, because if we look in our society today, you know, we have stay-at-home dads who, you know, mind the kids.
Shout out to them as well.
Shout out to them.
Amazing.
You know,
can I ask, are these stay-at-home dads Nigerian, African?
Yeah, right.
maybe one or two, but a majority of them would be, you know,
Westernized Caucasian.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I'm talking about this African mentality of when a woman is married, everything that she's ever done, all the degrees she has, all the PhD she has in the world doesn't matter because she's going to be a housewife.
It's sad.
I generally don't think that most of them just conclude that she's going to be a housewife. I think most of them conclude that she will do all the jobs of a housewife as well as doing whatever else she's doing, which is ridiculous. But, you know, that's just my opinion.
But then at the end of the day, I think it's seen as, even if she's going to do what she's doing, the home comes first.
Yeah.
So then it doesn't really matter what else she's doing. This is just me like saying what I've heard and what is seen as the norm, that okay, if she's going to, and this is back, I feel this is a very back in the day way of thinking, because back in the day you would say a woman's place is in the kitchen, or a woman's place is to take care of the children and all of that. But a woman can have a career. Like these days, women are very power-driven career women, corporate world career women.
We're not saying this just because we're all women as well. Like it's actually true. Like, just saying, because we could be powerful too, you know.
Yeah. I feel powerful already. What is the stereotype, and what is expected of women?
Well, the stereotype is that, you know, once you get married, you know, you take care of the home, take care of the kids, you cook and clean, and you could also be working. You know, you're superwoman. You don't need any help.
I like that word. Superwoman.
Yeah.
What is the reality?
Yeah, that is the reality, I feel.
So the expectation is the reality.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because people are trying to live up to expectations. So you make it work, and like you can get really frustrated and just like stressful trying to balance
everything, work,
well,
you know,
not the two, everything.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. I mean, like, we're all humans, and people tend to forget that as well, that like just because we're female and we can do everything doesn't mean we necessarily should have to be doing everything.
Yeah.
It's okay if a man is a house husband. It doesn't necessarily have to be the woman that's being there.
That even sounds wrong. House husband.
I don't think it sounds wrong.
It doesn't sound wrong.
Yeah.
A stay-at-home dad. Like I have
stay-at-home dad. Yeah, that's the word.
I have a friend in uni, and he was like, he'd love to be a stay-at-home dad. He didn't see anything wrong with it. He goes, I would love my wife if she wants to work. Yeah, go ahead.
But can I ask, where is he from?
He's from Nigeria.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Props to him.
This guy's
He's well raised.
And he was like, he would love to, you know, be at home taking care of the kids, and his wife is the go-getter.
Do you know what his background is? Like,
no,
his parents?
I don't know what his background is, but
because something tells me it's probably like an influence from what his dad is doing. Like if his dad is a chilled, kind of relaxed guy going, okay, my wife can go and make the money, I can work as well, and we both bring home the dough, there's no specific breadwinner, then he would have that, because that's how he's seen his father, and he feels I could be a man like my father. But something tells me if he came from a background of His dad
He's in charge, yeah.
sits watching football and expects his food to be in front of him in 10 minutes after he gets home, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have that same...
I disagree though, because sometimes when things are like done to one certain extreme, like you see that and you realize that's not what I want, so you might actually
you want
shift to
something
the other
different.
side,
Yeah.
and you're like, I want
Yeah.
something completely different for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of get you.
Yeah, so I think that like it does depend. I think it definitely does depend on what the parents are like, but then how the person ends up, how the outcome
Yeah.
is depends on how the person decides to take what they've seen and what they've learned with growing up and mold that into what they want to be.
But growing up as a girl, how did you feel? What was expected from you growing up?
Well, I've got
As a
3
girl.
sisters, so we're all girls.
Yeah.
I've got 2 older
That's
sisters.
fun for your dad.
I know, and my dad is living the life. He's actually having banter. So in my family, there was never a thing of, oh, as a girl. It was always like, as the child of a James, this is what you do. There was never any like gender roles because there was nothing to compare against because we're all girls. So we got the whole, you clean, you do your dishes, you do whatever. But as well as that, like we actually did like, we understood and we got the whole concept of you do the DIY things. Like myself and my sisters are very, very handy around the house. I think more so than most guys that I know.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't a matter of, oh, it's because you're a girl or it's because you're not a boy or whatever. It was just, you got on with it because this is your house. If something breaks, you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not like, if it's something too hard for ourselves to do, then we're like, okay, Dad, can you do this? But especially myself, I was always kind of like, Dad, don't worry. Unless it was like the peak, like I always,
Like
it was
building
a
an entire
challenge.
4-foot wardrobe by yourself.
I would be like, I can do it. And I would make sure that I got it done unless there was like something too heavy, like, and then I'd be like, oh, I have to call Dad. I mean, you're the kind of woman, like, you know.
Yeah.
So it was never a matter of gender roles. It was always there's 4 of you guys. You're all girls. Just get on with it. And yeah, I think myself in particular, I'm very, very, very specific with things around gender roles because I think they shouldn't be in existence, and I am very opposed to them. And people would say I'm probably like the most brotherly in the house. I'm very protective of my sisters in a way that you would imagine a brother to be.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of opposed to gender roles. I'm like, just let me do me, you know.
I'm a girl, I'm a guy, whatever you call me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it all. Like, as long as I'm being happy and doing what I feel like I should be, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But isn't that what most women are like then? That they feel like they're both the man and the woman of the house?
Like a single mother would have to be the mother and the father.
Yeah. Because coming from a home where it's only my mom and who is, you know, I've always felt, you know, independent, like, you know, I can do everything. You know, I don't have to wait for a man to, you know, necessarily, like, you know, feed me, to clothe me. You know, if I want something, I go and do it.
Can I ask a question? What are the expectations of a man?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Provide for the home,
Yeah.
work, and bring money home.
I think that's a traditional expectation.
Yeah, that's the traditional
So
expectation.
he's meant to be the breadwinner.
To be honest, I feel like that's one expectation. Work, provide food, and bring money home. Like, it's all...
Be a good husband.
You work to get money and then bring food home or whatnot. So that's one expectation.
You expect it to be a good husband.
How do you do that?
Understanding.
Okay.
Attentive.
Love your wife.
I hope you guys are taking notes. Continue.
I think it's just for my expectation of my husband or a man.
Oh.
Let's just call it spade a spade.
Uncle Babe.
Married. Okay.
Shout out to
We've understood all of this. I'm a married woman, guys. Sorry, guys, I'm taking. What I expect from, let's even go as far back as my dad. What I expected of my dad towards my mom and me as his daughter and his kids is to be a good husband to my mother. I think I should rephrase it and say the expectation of a man is based on what a woman expects of her man.
Okay.
So if the woman is already the breadwinner, then what she should maybe what she's expecting of her man is we've both decided I'm gonna go to work and make the money, and you're gonna stay at home and be a stay-at-home
But
dad.
why can't both of them be the breadwinners? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on
what
the
she
decision.
said.
Yeah, why can't we both be the
Why y'all hating on me? It's just my opinion. What I'm saying is it depends on the decision you have made with your husband. So if both of you have decided we're both going to do 9 to 5 jobs, and when we come home, leave the kid with a babysitter or whatever, that's fine. That's your decision. Nobody can hate on you for your decision with your husband. But then it is expected that both of you need to work on that decision. It can't be, okay, we've decided, and then all of a sudden you decide that, no, I'm not doing 9 to 5 anymore. I'm just going to stay at home and do nothing. You've made a decision together. Live up to that expectation. You can't just randomly decide one day without having a discussion, or even with no explanation whatsoever, and go, no, I'm quitting my job. Sorry, I'm just going to stay at home. I'm not going to cook either. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to sit at home. Makes no sense. That's what I'm getting at. What a man is expected to do is based on what the wife has said. Okay, this is what I'm expecting of you, and in turn, what is expected of a woman should be what the husband is expecting, and not what necessarily society expects. I think that's what's kind of pinpointed that, oh, this is what society expects this woman to do. What if the man doesn't expect the woman to do it? What if the woman doesn't expect this man to do it? The man does not necessarily expect his wife to have dinner ready 5 o'clock every day. If he's a very realistic man, he could say, okay, if I get home, I'll cook dinner. If you get home, you cook dinner. Doesn't really matter.
But I feel like we have a different view because, we were raised in the Western world, whereas in in Nigeria, the view would be different. I mean, a man would expect he would come home from work and his wife would have food ready, the house would be in order.
But like what Loretta was saying, I feel like no matter where you are in the world, a thing about relationship or maybe even marriage is having maturity enough to say, okay, I love this person, I know that changes will happen. And as well as, like, what comes along with that is having the ability to negotiate. Because obviously, no matter who you're with, you need to be able to compromise, because no matter who you're with, they're not going to be 100% like you. So there's some things that will just not gel automatically. So like you were saying that you guys make decisions together, but it comes down to, okay, if I want my food ready at 5 o'clock every day, and she's like, listen, okay, so you have to decide whether you want to make it 5:30 or maybe rotate how you cook or whatever, and then you guys decide together. But it's not necessarily one person's expectations. You take both of your expectations and you merge them and you compromise. No matter where you are, even in Nigeria, I think, or anywhere, even Asia, anywhere in the world, when it comes to relationships and marriages, you have, like, this is why relationships break down. You have to be able to compromise. You have to.
Some people are just not willing to compromise.
Not willing. And if you accept it, like, from the start, I think we were saying something like this earlier. If you accept it from the start and you don't make your point known that this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and you're like, oh, well, maybe along the way we'll just sneak in changes. That's when it crumbles. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't work. So you have to make it known from the start. This is what I'll accept. This is what I won't accept. Are you willing to work around that or not?
Very good.
That's my opinion.
Very understandable. How about we take a little break? We'll be right back and discuss more of what is expected of not just women at this stage, but men too. See you in a bit. Welcome back. I want to ask a question. We've been discussing about what is expected of a woman and female roles in society. What do we expect of ourselves? Like, what would be our greatest achievement in life? What would we say is what we expect from ourselves and what we want to do in life? Start with you.
Well, right now, I'd say what I would consider an achievement for me would be my academics and how I do regarding my degree and all that. But ultimately, by the time I get married and have kids, I would say my family would be my ultimate achievement. Depending on how my kids are raised, how, as in, I raise my kids to be respectful, well-behaved, that kind of thing.
Very good. I think that's a given. Like, you always want your kids to be viewed in a good light, because then that just kind of has a reflection on what kind of parent you would be. What about you?
Well, my greatest achievement would be, my family.
Okay.
I love family, and my siblings, encourage them to succeed, and just not repeating past mistakes that has happened in my family.
Past mistakes?
Yeah. When I talk about past mistakes, like, well, ultimately in the future I'll have my own family and have a husband, pray to God, and just so that the same thing that happened between my parents does not happen with me. so that cycle doesn't continue.
Okay.
So for me, it would be having a great marriage, because it was expected of my mom that even though with everything she's gone through, that she would take all the domestic violence she's been through, that she would take it, that it's okay for women to get hit, it's okay for a woman to struggle, and for the man not to be there for his children. So society feels that it's okay for a woman to take a beating, it's okay for her to raise her kids on her own, and then when the time comes for her to actually enjoy this reward, when the time comes, like when you graduate at your wedding day, it's okay for then your dad to come back and to be there after he has not worked hard, after he's not been with you through the whole struggle. For me, that is a cruel, it's really cruel of society to think like that. Yeah, to expect that.
It's not a great expectation. Yeah. It's never right for in any relationship for a woman or even a man.
Yeah.
But it's never right for a man to feel he has that power over a woman, that you can hit a woman or just treat her like anything. Yeah. It's never right.
I think that comes from as well, just I don't know whether it's a saying, but it's like the woman is the person that holds the home or something like that. I think it's a saying. I never know how these sayings go.
She's just
but you know it.
Head of the house, the woman is the neck.
Yeah. But I mean, things like that, I feel like those are things that really hold us back as a society, because people say these things, whether they're joking or whether they mean it seriously, but it's in our subconscious at this stage, and it's just the perception that you really just have to get on with it for the sake of the home. And I remember hearing this thing one time, and it was something along the lines of a woman basically just putting up with a lot of things from her husband. Yeah. And when people would ask why, she would say, I did it for peace in my home. Yeah. Whereas the same exact same phrase that a man would say, I did it for peace in my home, would be something so minimal. It would just be oh, I just said I wouldn't go out with the guys this Saturday for peace in my home. Do you know what I mean? The difference is so major. It's so ridiculous, if you ask me. It's very laughable in a scary manner that people to the opposite genders can actually say these things but have such different weights in their life because of what society has said it should be or it shouldn't be.
Very true. I kind of like what Oluchi said there, because it's a saying that makes sense, that a man is the head and a woman is the neck, and the head can't move without the neck. Yeah. So if a woman is meant to be the neck, that means there's a lot of weight. Yeah,
she does more.
There's a lot of weight riding on that, a lot of things riding on that neck. If that neck breaks, if a woman breaks down, the chances are the man ain't gonna function either. Because if he's the head is not going to function without the neck.
I also still don't like that saying, and you guys know because I also think when you think of all the different aspects of it, that also is said because obviously without a head there's no function at all for a neck. There's no reason for a neck.
Very true.
Do you know what I mean? So it's without me you're nothing. That's how I also see it.
They work together.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, I agree, but
okay, maybe I'll say it this way then to make you a little happy. If the neck is not functioning, if the neck is broken, the head is not going to move. If there is no head, why is the neck there?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so does that phrase do you like that phrase now?
No, because if the man is the head and I don't have a man, does that mean I have no function because I'm a woman who's a neck without a head?
No, I'm saying in a relationship, if you do have a man.
Oh, if you have it, okay.
When you're in a marriage, that is the analysis you use. If you're not in a marriage, if you're single, that doesn't work for you. It clearly does not work for you because there's no head or neck or anything working there.
Okay.
So basically, at the moment, you're both the neck and the head.
I am everything.
You're
my whole body.
Alright. Okay. We've talked about expectations of women and what society and the norm is. Away from society and the norm, I'm thinking back home, and this is very traditional, where a woman has gotten married. By the way, this is not what's happening to me. I am happily married. My husband's family loves me, and there's no high expectation. Well, if there is, they haven't said anything, so I'm good at the moment. But what I'm driving at is where a woman is now married to her husband,
Yeah.
and it's not the husband that has any expectation, it's his family.
That pressure.
Yeah, Tayo.
Let's go there. Let's go.
Right on.
I'm ready.
Because it gets to a stage where everybody's happy, they're
Yeah.
married, they're all bubbly. 2 months later,
Honeymoon.
mother-in-law comes and says, do you have my grandchild yet? And then the sister-in-law comes and says, where's my niece or nephew? And it's like, why? The husband is not asking,
Yeah.
I want a child now. But the family expects that after a certain length of time, they need to be saying, there's a baby on the way. Why is that an expectation from the family? Why? Like, it's not like that's the first child to get married. But every child that gets married, they expect that after 3 months, you need to be showing. Why?
Did they expect you to be pregnant before the marriage or like?
Because that's the funny
wedding?
thing. If you have been said to be pregnant before the wedding,
Then that's
it's a
fine.
taboo.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They'll be pissed. But if you're not pregnant, if you're not telling them 9 months later there's a baby there, it's like, what happened? Can she not give birth? Can she not have a baby? It's been 2 months. Give it a chance.
So the in-laws can say whatever they want, but as far as you have an understanding with your husband, okay, say, I don't want to have kids probably until after a year or whatever. As far as you have that understanding, forget them.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
I guess.
That's true.
Because again, people, it's not my family. I love my husband. His family love me. But it's easier said than done. There are people that even if the husband and the wife have agreed, the mother-in-law does not want to hear it. What agreements?
But listen, the mother-in-law is the mother-in-law.
That's my point of
Think
view.
of the covenant you two made. You made it together, not including your family. It's between you two.
I
So
think
why can't they understand that?
from my point of view, what I think is because they've aged and they're going, I want grandchildren before I die. Forgetting the fact that they're not going to die tomorrow.
And they're not the ones raising.
And they're
them.
not the ones raising this. If they do die, the children are not going to be staying with grandma and grandpa.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I feel like those kind of expectations don't actually like necessarily weigh on relationships in a negative way, like only if the couple don't have solidarity between them and they have to have decided like this is what we want no matter whatever anybody else is saying. If that like foundation of solidarity has not been established, then that's when it begins to sway and the wife will be like possibly maybe, oh, they're coming at me this way, and the husband might not even realize. Like, there's a lot of things that go with it, but there needs to be solidarity and understanding this is exactly what we want, this is how we're putting it out there for everybody, no matter what they're saying.
Okay, just as a question, do you not feel that at some stage it could cause aggro between the husband and his family if he's saying to the, like, obviously the husband's family in this kind of situation are not being understanding to the fact that himself and his wife have an agreement. They don't want to hear the agreement. So do you not think at some stage it could cause, they've accepted this woman, and then the mother-in-law could turn around and say, okay, I accepted you, but now all of a sudden you're making my son think a different way, and cause aggro between herself and her mother-in-law, and then the husband and the mother.
It happens.
I personally feel like they need to sort that out with themselves, because like, as in like, if the mother-in-law is treating the daughter-in-law in a certain way because of something that is not even her business really, because it's between the husband and the wife and something that they've already decided upon, and she's been that has been explained to her multiple times, well then the child of the mother, who I would assume is the husband, needs to take that up like of his own accord and be like, Mom, this is what's going down, you need to stop treating my wife this way or talking to my wife this way. And if that causes further aggro, you need to question the type of relationship that the mother and the son have.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to do with the wife. It's not her fault that that's going on between them. So
Mother-in-laws, please give us a chance. Again, my mother-in-law loves me.
disclaimer.
Like, she loves me. I'm good. Nobody's expecting anything from me yet. But so it's been great having this discussion. I've actually learned a lot. I thought I had all my views intact and I knew exactly what was expected of women and what the society thinks, but it turns out there's a lot more behind it. And if you are in this kind of situation where you feel like there's a high expectation placed on you as a woman, consider this. What is your expectation for yourself? What is your ultimate golden achievement for yourself? If that is okay and you're happy enough with it, and it's not killing anybody, that should be fine with everybody else, shouldn't it? If you have any views on this or any other matters that you want to discuss, or you want to just let loose out there, please tweet about it on Convo_time, and our Instagram is up, Convotime, and there's also our Facebook, Convotime. See you soon.